unclear. There had been talk, we've been told by someone close to Comey that he looks forward to talking to special counsel and about what he knows and what ultimately happens. Comey would like to talk. He wants to come out. He wants to say what he can say. And, as we know, he has memos that sort of memorialized all these meetings.
And that's one of the big questions. People want to hear from him himself about why he wrote those memos, if what the reporting that's out there is true, and what he was thinking in terms of the president's intentions. Shimon Prokupets, we don't have those answers yet, but we hope to get them. Thank you for joining us.
Sure.
With me now live from Washington, Michigan Democratic Congressman Dan Kildee. Congressman Kildee, thank you for being with us. I know you called for an independent investigation of the president's Russia ties even before Robert Mueller was named to do exactly that. Are you happy with the choice of Mueller to lead this special counsel?
Well, I was pleased that there was a special counsel named, and I'm happy that Mr. Mueller is the choice. He has a great reputation. I had some interaction with him when he was leading the FBI soon after I came into Congress, and I think he has the kind of credibility that the American people will accept the outcome of his investigation. I think it is important to keep in mind that the scope of the investigation, while it might be broad in terms of subject and should go wherever the facts take him, it will be focused on counterintelligence or the potential of criminality. It won't necessarily reveal many of the other large questions that we have about the nature of the relationship between the Trump campaign and the Russians. That should be taken on by an independent commission, much like the 9/11 Commission, that wouldn't be solely focused on the question of criminality.
But isn't that what these other congressional committees are doing? We have the Senate Intelligence Committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, the House Oversight Committee, the House Intelligence Committee, all doing their own investigations as well?
They are, and they're colleagues of mine, so I know some of them might not share my view, but I just don't believe at this point in time, given the highly political nature of this town, that the American public will accept a conclusion that might come down to a party divide. Even though the committee members may work well together now, when it comes down to drawing any conclusions, they may have different points of view. I think we have other things we should be focusing our attention on. We have big issues in this country that we are not making any progress on whatsoever because this is taking up all the oxygen. We really should take this out of the political process. Let Mr. Mueller pursue his aspect of this, but appoint a sort of elder statesperson-led bipartisan commission to draw whatever conclusions they may, report to Congress and the American people, and then we can make our judgments at that point in time. In the meantime, we should deal with health care and taxes and infrastructure and America's place on the planet. Those are big questions that are not getting the attention they deserve.
Okay, I want to get your reaction, though, to the past 24 hours, because there is a lot of new information that is coming fast and furious regarding the president, regarding the Russia investigation, regarding what we're learning about conversations that have happened up to this point. First, we have some new reporting here at CNN that in intercepted conversations of Russian officials during the campaign, sources now say that these Russian officials were bragging about their relationship with former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. They believe that they could use him to influence Donald Trump and his team. Does this at all move the ball forward in terms of possible collusion?
Well, yeah, it certainly raises serious questions. And, I can't draw legal conclusions as to whether this kind of interaction meets a legal standard. But, collusion is a term that might have a particular meaning. There's certainly evidence of serious interaction and a serious relationship between Mr. Flynn and the Russians and perhaps other members of the Trump team. And this is why, whether or not that interaction rises to the level of a criminal act, the American people have a right to know what the nature of that relationship was. And it's especially difficult to accept when we hear these reports about the conversation that Mr. Trump had in the Oval Office with very senior members of the Russian government. It sure seems a lot friendlier than what you would expect to see between the President of the United States and an adversary that does not share the interests of the United States.
And that conversation, some of that coming in the New York Times latest reporting, again in just the last 24 hours, saying the President Trump bragged about firing FBI Director James Comey during that meeting with Russian officials last week, telling them, quote, "I just fired the head of the FBI. He was crazy, a real nut job. I faced great pressure because of Russia." That's taken off.
Yeah,
Is that evidence to you of obstruction of justice?
It could be. I mean, it's evidence that the president clearly connected the firing of Mr. Comey with his anxiety about this Russian connection and any investigation that was ongoing. It's pretty difficult for him to deny that, but it's troubling in so many other ways. For him to denigrate the head of the FBI, one of our chief intelligence gathering agencies, to these Russian leaders. I mean, my gosh, whose side is he on?
Some colleagues have brought up impeachment. Are you there yet?
You know, I think the facts have to determine that. I think we need to be very careful about drawing any conclusions. The process we should be engaged in right now is embracing transparency. Get the facts. You know, anybody who goes to the conclusion before we've gathered all the facts, I think, might be getting ahead of themselves. Now, you know, whatever the conclusion might be, I may get to that point, but we're certainly not there yet.
What do you want to hear from James Comey when he reportedly is going to testify in an open hearing?
Well, I think he now is essentially obligated to let us know about the nature of his interaction with President Trump. You know, the contemporaneous notes that he took after his dinner at the White House. You know, if I had to take the word of Mr. Comey or Mr. Trump, I know where I would go with that based on their past. But there are other interactions that may have taken place, and Mr. Comey, I think, owes it to the American people and to the government that he spent so many years serving to come clean and let us know about the conversations that he had with Mr. Trump. The American people have a right to know that information.
Congressman Dan Kildee, our thanks to you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
The president